Hi all, we're going to look at some of the action from yesterday morning in Crude. Now just bear in mind that on my time zone, 9 PM is actually 9 AM Eastern time. What we saw on Crude yesterday at 9 AM, at kind of the pit session open, is we saw a big sell-off in Crude, or a real vertical move down. Now we all know that Crude puts in some fast, aggressive vertical moves. Those moves are very difficult to catch the end of. If you're a reversal trader, very, very difficult to predict where the end of that move will be. Now, when we moved down, we did put in this area of high volume here, and we can see some of the large size that traded at that price around 52.37. Now that wasn't the end. You could have actually tried trading that high volume, but really there's no push up from there. Then as we moved to the bottom, around 52.03, we actually did see a large circle at the bottom. We came down to an area of high liquidity, but really the place that you know, or the time that you know the market's reversing, is when you see the high liquidity, you see the little bit of absorption at the bottom there, and then you see the market start to lift up. And that lifting up is effectively when you're getting the confirmation that this is possibly a reversal. So you see these circles and a lift up, circles and a lift up, circles and a push down. Then it's the push down that's really confirming, and one of the reasons for that is that the guys that trade here, so that was mostly buyers, 519 buyers, 176 sellers. As we start to move down, buyers from that area get stopped out. That's helping us move down. Now one of the interesting things yesterday, when we got that move down, we then came back. This area of high volume became an area that people had an eye on basically. So we came up there, up towards there, reversed down, back to the lows that we'd made earlier on, got some absorption there, moved up, back to that area of high volume again, got some absorption on the other side there, and then we moved down to this area of high liquidity, did push up there, and again that would have been a trade that I would have taken to the long side. But there's a couple of interesting things here. First of all, is that this high volume area, it became an area that people had an eye on. But the other interesting thing is not so much on the Vista chart itself. Now if you look at this chart, it was a chart going sideways, and of course, you know, once we'd marked out the highs and lows, then we'd look at those highs and lows and say, well, okay, you know, am I poking through and getting a head fake and maybe, you know, take a trade back to the other side of the range? Is it breaking out? And we might look for a kind of range trade. We probably wouldn't expect a lot of excitement just based on this chart itself. And if we look at the Delta chart, we can see something very different. So what we can see is, you know, we got the push down here, market moves sideways. As the market was moving sideways, the Delta really starts moving up. Now, there's a lot of people that will say, that's a Delta divergence. When you see a Delta divergence, do this. So there'll be people saying, well, you've got to take that long, or you've got to take that short. I see it slightly differently. When I see the Delta pushing up like this, what it tells me, we've got people buying, you know, we've got a lot more buy market orders than sell market orders, but they're actually not getting a lot of reward for their buying. So, you know, we see mostly buyers, but we see the market going sideways. And that just means basically there's a little bit of a tussle or a tug of war. And there's obviously somebody on the other side of those buy orders with sell limit orders that's actually absorbing that buying. If the Delta was flat and this market was flat, you know, like this, I would say, you know, when you got to the highs again, you probably don't expect an awful lot. You probably don't expect a lot to happen. It's a range day, you know, the market's going sideways, we're getting in towards lunchtime. Really, what am I going to expect? What am I expecting to happen, even if it breaks this area here? And the answer is not much. But when we've got this Delta here, what that tells us is it actually looks like there's a fair few people engaged in this area. So when we come back up to here, this is a bit of a decision point, because we can see, you know, everybody that's trading this range is going to know about the extremes of the range. Nobody's blind to that, whether they're looking at the chart or the volume profile. So when we get up to here, we know this is a decision point. We don't know which way the market's going to break, because if there is a bit of a tug of war, which this Delta indicates, that doesn't tell us who's going to win that tug of war. Okay, but what we do know, there's likely to be a violent reaction. So if we look at the move down, we could compare this move down with this move down. If we look at this move down, the Delta was flat in that move down. If we look at this move down, the Delta was very, very negative. So we had a lot of sell market orders in that move down. It was a fast, furious move down. It wasn't a huge move down, but it was a fast move down. And that's kind of indicative of people getting stopped out And then once we saw that, we can say, well, mostly, this battle here is probably resolved, but we would have absolutely been looking out for something to happen, for this volume, all this buy volume that had been absorbed to kind of get resolved either when we break up or when we break back down, reverse back down, and the buy sides to get stopped out. So we can say, okay, there were buyers trying to push the market up or hoping the market would go up, and at this point they basically bailed out of the market. And very interesting day, but again, keep a lookout for that, because when a day doesn't look that interesting, this kind of action in the delta can just tip your hand. And then when you actually play the reversal, it could be something as simple as just seeing a whole bunch of orders here at the top, buy market orders, so you know that the buyers are trying to push it through that price, and then as you start to reverse down, they failed. We've got some high liquidity above, which is helping us, but it's really the failure of these guys to move the market up that tells you, okay, we might get an aggressive push down now. So thank you for listening, and if you've got any comments, feel free to send us an email. Thank you. Bye.